Hey, this is Hammer with another battle report against Beastmen. But first, I'd like to talk about a few hobby updates I've been doing. So, one of those is I added this brown sterling mud to all of my basing, and really liked how it turned out. I think it adds a lot of contrast and a little bit extra texture to my Bretonnian basing. Another thing I've done is make some markers for my Bretonnian army. So, I think Once Bitten posted a video a couple months back that talked about using customized markers to increase the aesthetic appeal of a game. And I certainly agree with him because a lot of times you can have dice and magic cards all over the board and just make a mess. So these were my wound markers that I made using tombstones from the skeleton kit. Just glued on to some pennies and then based. So real simple. Probably only took me 2 hours with everything to dry. I mean, it's really fast. So I was pleased with how they turned out. So another thing I did was make markers for the lore of beasts, since I love using it with my Bretonnians. So use some giant hands to represent Wyson's wild form. Just a Saurus warrior shield for Pan's impenetrable pelt. A giant head there is Savage Beast of Horos. And then the skeleton for Curse of Honor here. Again, really simple to make, and yeah, much smaller than having a big magic card out on the table. So a third thing I did was make this model. So in all my time I've used Lore of Beasts, I've never gotten Transformation of Kadan off successfully. So this is like a giant peasant that my level 2 will turn into if she ever gets Transformation off. So just kind of wanted to do this for fun. There's a view from the back and from the front. One thing I still want to do with them is try to make a Men-at-Arms helmet somehow, but not sure how I'll do that, so open to suggestions if anyone has any ideas. Anyway, that's all the hobby update I've got. So I showed up at a game store, and somebody was looking for 2,400 point games to practice for Adepticon, a big tournament in my area that I unfortunately won't be attending. But I didn't have a list with me, so I threw something together in 10 minutes that I hope would at least be somewhat functional. So going to his deployment, on the far right of the board, he's got a Gorgon, a Razor Gore, unit of 5 Harpies. Just a close-up of his Razor Gore. Thought he had a nicely painted army. And towards the center, he's got 2 massive units of Gore. The rightmost unit has got a War Gore BSB, his level 4 of Shadow, and a Beast Lord that's pretty killy in close combat. And then the leftmost unit has got a level 2, I believe it was of Shadows as well. To the left of his lines, he's got 6 Minotaurs, another Razor Gore, and 5 more Harpies. So facing him, I've got a Trebuchet, 10 more Bowmen. They haven't made it into my list in a while. 3 Pegasus Knights. Dead center, I've got 2 units of Mounted Yeomen, as you can see. Another Trebuchet. The leftmost Knight unit is my double Paladin unit. So got my BSB with Sword of Might, Gromrel Greyhelm. Actually, no. He's got Sword of Might, Charmed Shield, Dawnstone. And my other Paladin has got a Great Weapon and Gromrel Greyhelm. Then I have 10 Knights of the Realm with standard of with a War Banner. Excuse me. Then my center unit, I've got 11 Knights Errant, Banner of Eternal Flame. My level 4 Beast with Crown of Command, Dispel Scroll. And my rightmost Knight unit, I've got 11 Knights of the Realm, Standard of Discipline. And my General with 6 attacks, Heroic Killing Blow, Potion of Foolhardiness, Enchanted Shield, so he's got a 1-up. And the far right of my lines, I've got 10 more Bowmen in the building, and just a unit of 5 Knights Errant, no command. So here's my Vanguard move on the left and towards the center. So Beastmen turn 1 was uneventful. He just kind of moved up and had no significant magic. So going right to Brett turn 1, I charged my Pegasus Knights into his Razor Gore on the left side of the board. On the far right, I charge his Razor Gore with my Knights Errant. He flees, and then I redirect into his Gorgon. So all I really want to do here is see if I can take 1 or 2 wounds off of him and weaken him. And I know I'm not going to win this, so just hope to get away with Swift Stride. So towards the center, I redirect his Minotaurs with my Mounted Yeoman. And the rest of my movements are as you can see them. So after close combat on the left, my Pegasus Knights beat the Razor Gore but failed to run him down. And yeah, my Knights just bounced right off the Gorgon and whipped all my attacks. So that didn't quite work out, but at least I got away. So I also forgot to mention that on Brett turn 1, I used Flock of Doom on his Harpies and killed all of them, which was really lucky because that thing's strength 2. But going to Beastman turn 2, he charges my Mounted Yeoman with his Gore unit on the left and backs his Minotaurs up. So just another view of the center on Beastman turn 2. So he also charges my fleeing Knights Errant off the board with his Harpies and moves his Gorgon more towards the center of the board to threaten me. His Razor Gore fails to rally on the right, and his leftmost Razor Gore also fails to rally, so got those things off the board at least. And his magic, I think he got Miasma off on my BSB's unit. I just let it go and stopped, I believe, Pit of Shades that turn. So looking at Brett turn 2, so his Gore on the left previously had killed my Mounted Yeoman, and he elected to reform instead of overrun, which could have protected his Minotaurs from a charge, maybe. And I think he did that because he forgot his Minotaurs couldn't flee since they're frenzied, so otherwise he would have just fled and countered. But this allowed me to get an easy charge, and very confident I'll win that combat. So also fly my Pegasus Knights around back. And on the right, so I failed an easy charge with my General's unit into his rightmost Gore unit. And I didn't want my General to get countercharged by those Gore, so instead I parked my stubborn level 4's unit in front of them to take it so that I could countercharge next time. I also parked my Mounted Yeoman in front of his Gorgon. And here's how the center looks on Bretonnia turn 2. So between my Bowman in the tower and my Yeoman, I take a few wounds off the Gorgon, which is nice. So it's just to far left. My poor peasants trying to get into the fight. They have nothing left to shoot. And after close combat, so yeah, my BSB's unit just crushes the Minotaurs. I only take 1 wound on one of my paladins, and I easily run him down. However, I stop an inch away from my Pegasus Knights, which was unfortunate because I rolled high enough that I could get away and out of the charge arc of those Gores, but it wasn't to be. So it doesn't look like it, but those Gore turned out to be in the flank arc of my BSB's unit. So if I remember right, the arc just barely passed in front of the 3rd model of the front rank. So yeah, didn't quite roll high enough to get out of his line of sight. And here's how the board looks at the end of Brett turn 2. So looking at Beastmen turn 3, so this actually ended up very favorable for me. So this Gore unit could not charge my level 4's unit off the screen to the right of this picture. because they couldn't make the wheel past my BSB's unit. And they were so close to my BSB's unit and in their flank that their wheel to maximize contact with my unit was suboptimal, so that they could only really get 2 gore into base with me. So ended up pretty well, because now I can just make way with my BSB, who has a 2-up rerollable, and really not take that many wounds. So looking towards the center, his other gore unit charges my level 4's unit, and his Gorgon goes into my mounted yeoman. So just an overall view of that. Okay, I go into close combat. Okay, so now I remember. Last turn, I actually got a trebuchet shot off on this guy, along with my bowman shooting. So he had 2 wounds left starting, and then my mounted yeoman put another wound on him. And he came back with the attack where you can pick up a guy and restore D3 wounds if successful. But he completely missed it, so he's down to 1 wound remaining. And my mounted yeomen have a chance for extreme glory if they manage to take him down. So after close combat in the center, only lose 2 knights errant, which, you know, that's not too bad. And in close combat with my BSB's unit. So I make way with my BSB to the back right corner of my unit, and I manage to kill his level 2, and he does no wounds back to me. So he has a charge, a flank, and 3 ranks, and actually didn't have a banner in the unit. And I ended up with 2 wounds, a banner, a BSB, and a war banner. So I was able to draw combat and reform to face him, which was fantastic. So on Bretonnia turn 3, I countercharge his leftmost gore unit with my Pegasus Knights, and take my general's unit into his gore block. So really hoping to grind out that unit on the left. I think I can do it easily. And the unit on the right, my plan is to try to continually challenge and bro killing blow as many characters as I can. So here's just an overview of the board. In my magic phase, I got the +3 toughness off on my BSB, and Weisson's wild form off on my Pegasus Knights. So, and Weisson's is just great on Pegasus Knights because the Pegasus themselves get 2 strength 5 attacks each, and then the riders, you're boosted up to strength 6. So very nice to have that. Shooting phase, bowmen pick up a few harpies threatening my trebuchet. And in close combat, so this time I'm able to go first, but I can't take the last wound off the Gorgon. And he kills some mounted yeomen and restores some wounds back, so that was unfortunate. After close combat in the center, my level 4's unit really got whittled down quite a bit. And my general's unit that countercharge kind of whiffed a bit, so not as good as I would like there. The combat on the left, yeah, definitely tore through these gore pretty well, but they managed to stick. So Beastmen turn 4, his harpies charge into my trebuchet. In his magic phase, he gets Occam's Mind Razor off on these gore. So I'd burned a Dispel Scroll, stopping this the turn before, and I think he total powered it this time, and I just couldn't stop it. So that's really scary for both my Peg Knights and my double paladin unit. Going straight to close combat, my trebuchet crew actually put a wound on the harpies. They did 1 to me and actually held, which is pretty amazing on leadership 4. And after close combat here, so puts a wound on my BSB, even though he's toughness 7, kills my other paladin and drops 2 of my Peg Knights. So yeah, that definitely hurt. And in the other big combat. I'm down to just my level 4 in my Knight Errant unit, and yeah, getting ground down there. But my general did manage to heroic killing blow his level 4 in combat, which was nice revenge for that Mind Razor. So on Brett turn 4, there's nothing left to do but continue fighting it out. So my level 4 dies this round of combat, but my general manages to heroic killing blow his general. So that's 2 characters down, and now I have a fighting chance in this combat. So also after close combat, my trebuchet crew killed his harpy and actually survived the combat, which I think it's the first time they've survived any form of combat. So definitely a round of beer for the peasants. See, during the shooting phase this turn, my bowman took more wounds off the Gorgon and got him down to 1 wound remaining once again. And best of all this turn, my former BSB's unit managed to beat and run down the Mind Razor Gore. So they killed my last Peg Knight, they killed my BSB, but somehow, some way, I won combat. And I think just by having the War Banner. And I broke him and run him down. So that was absolutely huge. So on Beastmen turn 5, his Gorgon comes in to flank my general's unit with 1 wound remaining. So I just need a knight to, you know, poke this guy in the eye, or a horse to kick him in the knee and get those points. So I did manage to kill the Gorgon, but my general's unit broke on Beastmen turn 5. And on Brett turn 5, they rallied, and I moved the remainder of my knight unit behind these Gore. So this is all he has left on the table, a unit of Gore with his BSB. So just an overview shot of that. And on Brett turn 5, I put all my shooting into this unit, took 7 Gore down, and then I had a decision to make. Do I make the safe choice and just flee with my general's unit when he charges on Beastmen turn 6? Or do I go for the glory, hold, and try to heroic killing blow his BSB? Well, of course I had to go for the glory, but unfortunately it didn't work out. I got 6 hits through, but could not get heroic killing blow on his BSB. I broke, despite being leadership 10, and my Swift Stride didn't save me and he ran me down. So that was a little bit unfortunate. And then I charged the rear of that unit with the remainder of my knights, beat him in combat, but he held on his BSB's reroll, and that's where the game ended. So I ended up ahead at the end by 25 points, so basically a dead even draw. If I had fled with my general's unit at the end, I would have had the victory, but a true Bretonian always goes for the glory, so clearly that's what I had to do. But anyways, it's a real bloody game, real fun game, and good to get more experience against Beastmen. I don't think Beastmen are an army I'd want to play myself, but so far it's been pretty fun to play against. So I've got one more battle report to catch up on, and then I might try something different, which is kind of break down every unit in the Bretonnian army and talk about what I like to do with Bretonnia and what I think are some of the strongest ways to play Bretonnia, which be interesting to see other people's responses and perspectives, because my style, of course, may be very different from many other people. So something I'll plan to post in the near future. Second thing I'm planning to do is introduce kind of my side project, which is my second army. So I've kind of worked on this army off and on, you know, for the past year or two, and finally gotten them to a point where I have a large number of finished units and can field a painted army at 3,000 points. So that second army is Tomb Kings. So I like Tomb Kings because, for one reason, so many people think that they're terrible. And you know, I can see that just looking at the book. A lot of people struggle to play this army. They're definitely, you know, considered a bottom tier army, if you will, just like Bretonnia and Wood Elves. So I see that as a challenge, so I'd like to do a few battles, post the reports, and see what I can do with them. So definitely excited to field them, and I'll post some reports of them soon, and hopefully get your input on how to make them work. Anyways, hope you enjoyed.